Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Reality Podcast. I'm extra excited for our guest today because not only do I share my first name with her, I'm also absolutely in love with her drive, personality, and especially her voice. So, familiar to all of you, I am talking about none other than Anushka Arora, an award winning radio presenter, TV presenter, dancer, and actor. So here's the fun thing. Anushka's always in conversation with known Bollywood faces, but today we'll get a chance to get to know about her amazing self. So thank you so much for being here, Anushka. We're so excited to have you.
That is the most cutest introduction ever. I loved it. So from one Anushka to another, mwah, mwah, mwah. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. I feel like I know we've always been talking on Instagram, but to finally speak to you, even though it's virtually, I'm so happy today.
Yeah, I remember actually the first time I heard you speak was right after Big Boss 10. And I think that was kind of my breakthrough with, knowing known personalities and Bollywood. And it was with Bani, an interview with Bani. And I was just so excited because I was like, wow, these are now two people that I am so in love with. And I love that they're both speaking to each other. And just from there, I think, yeah, it's iconic from, London to Hong Kong, one Anushka to the other. It's just cool.
Yes, definitely 100% agree. And I very, very clearly remember that time as well, because I know you really like Barney. I really liked Barney as well. And then when she came to London, I managed to interview her. So I think that's how we kind of connected. So if Barney ever listens to this, thank you very much.
Yes. So I had to start off this podcast by talking about the record-breaking, iconic 36-hour radio marathon broadcast that you did. And it was in support of a charity, Cardiac Risk in the Young, the charity. So how was that experience?
So basically, I'm going to rewind a few years actually. So I've done a 24-hour radio marathon as well. That was back in 2017. So that was again with another charity. It was for a children's charity. So raising money for like education for kids and helping them around the world, specifically in South Africa. So I had done that, and it was actually my sister's idea. So she gave me the idea initially with the 24-hour one, and then we went through this pandemic, and she was like, look, you're so connected with your listeners, why don't you think about doing another one, another radio marathon? And I was just like, but like, what's it going to be, how many hours? And then I was like, look, there's no point doing another 24-hour one because we've already done that. Maybe we can just do a 36 one. And she was like, as long as you're okay with it, just think about it and see how you feel and stuff. And I was like, okay, fine. So I gave it a bit of thought, and then I broke the news to the MD of Sunrise Radio, and he just looked at me and he was like, are you mad? You want to do this? And I was like, look, the UK at that time was in a lockdown, and I was like, what better way to connect even more so with my listeners and everyone else who is literally just at home and just need that, that extra motivation, that extra push, or, just need that extra person in their life. And I was like, this is the perfect time to do it. So he was like, okay, fine. As long as you're okay with it, then, we can figure this out. I was like, fine. So we did it. I mean, the experience was absolutely insane. We tied up with the charity Cry. And I think the main thing was not to raise money, but to raise awareness more than anything, because I think cardiac risk is very much sometimes and just assumed to be associated with people who are generally a little bit older. But when I spoke to the guys at this charity, when I really looked into it, when I researched into it, I was just like, actually, you know what? So many young people are dying of a cardiac risk, and nobody really knows that. Nobody really is aware of this kind of a situation. So I just thought it was an amazing time and an amazing opportunity for me to raise awareness for it. So it started at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and then I went through until the next day in the evening, finished at 9 p.m. And it was absolutely insane because the amount of love and the amount of support that I got, including from yourself as well, it was just, that's what kept me going. I mean, it was hard. Like the first 24 hours I got through like seamlessly, but after that, and when it was during the nighttime, it was hard. It was really, really hard, but just somehow managed to do it. I mean, it was probably one of the biggest highlights of my career.
And I think, because I was on the other end of it, I was more on the watching end of it. For me, definitely the part about you being able to raise awareness happened. I was reading through the comments as well on the post that you did on your Instagram after, and everyone said, oh my God, I didn't even know about this charity, or I didn't even know that there was this risk. And you clearly, got the message across. But more than that, I remember in real time, I would wake up in the morning and I would see your Instagram story, still going. Just before I went to bed, still going. And I was like, wow, I just slept and woke up, but she's been here and she's been at it. So I think, I knew whenever, when I was making the brief, I was like, I have to talk about this because obviously nobody has done that before, but also more than that, you did it for such a good cause, and you made it important for people to know. So just thank you. I think it's important to thank you on behalf of everybody listening.
Oh no, thank you again. See, like, your messages, I remember receiving your messages saying, oh my God, how are you doing this? So, just little things like that. Even somebody would send me like, a small message saying well done or carry on going. So honestly, it was those kind of messages that just kept me going. So it was very, very fulfilling at the end.
So digressing a little bit more of a flashback, so even beyond the 24 hours. So when did you realize that, maybe radio was your true calling, or how did you get started?
So basically, I'm not sure how it is in Hong Kong or in India, but in the UK, when you do want to have a career in radio, what they say is that the main foundation and the best place to get experience is actually to do hospital radio.
Okay.
So when I was told that, this was when I was studying a degree in journalism. So somebody had told me, then one of my tutors told me, they were like, if you really want to get into radio and TV, because that's what I really enjoyed, one of the modules that we were studying. And I remember they said to me, they were like, look, if you really want experience, go to hospital radio. And I was like, really? I was like, okay, fine. So I went to my local hospital. And I didn't even know this. I didn't know they had radio in the wards in the hospitals. So I went in and, I had a look around and stuff. And I proposed to do a Bollywood show. It was a 2-hour Bollywood show that I wanted to do. And then they slotted me in on a Sunday morning. So that was it. I think that was literally the foundation point for me. I mean, I used to go in every Sunday to do it. At that point, I was not able to drive. So my sister used to get up in the morning. She used to take me there, drop me. She used to come home, sleep a bit more, and then come and pick me up. And I remember that so clearly. And then I used to like carry like this big box of like CDs with me of all the Bollywood songs and the Hindi songs that I wanted to play. But another thing was that this hospital, I don't think anyone actually used to listen in the wards. But I think because I was so passionate and I was so determined that this is what I wanted to do, I just carried on. And I think I did it for about like 5-6 years. But now when I have that on my CV and when people ask me, how did you get into radio? When I say hospital radio, they really see it as a really big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And also back in the day, I don't know if they have it now, but we even had like hospital radio awards. And I remember that. And I was nominated for like best presenter. So these small, really, really baby steps really took me like to where I am today. And I think me doing that very small 2-hour Bollywood show, playing my very specific favorite songs that I wanted to play, that gave me like the biggest foundation. And then that became my little demo that I would hand out to big radio stations and say, you know what, this is what I've done. Here you go. Maybe just take a listen to it and see. So that was actually my starting point. But I just loved it. I know nobody used to listen. And I remember it was just like this, it used to be in the basement. And I used to be scared, like going down. I used to have the key, like just go down. I'd be alone, but I would just present the show and then I'd just leave and then come back. But it just used to feel so satisfying to me because I just loved what I did.
And, just to add to that, I think you're so good at it as well. And I'm not just saying this because, I've heard you, but if you think about it, and when you put a lot of thought to radio, it's actually very, very difficult to sit in a room where, there's a lot of sound that just stays in that room and you're basically kind of talking to yourself. And I think that's very difficult to do. And a lot of people struggle with it, just being able to being comfortable in your thoughts and hear what it is you want to say. And then on top of that, being entertaining for people to listen to it and say, oh, wow, I like this. I want to keep listening to it. So it's actually very, very difficult.
It is absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head where you said you're just in a room on your own. Like, how am I supposed to know how many people are listening to me? I don't know. But actually, there are loads of people listening. Although, like, it's really different now because we have like a WhatsApp number in the studio and people can WhatsApp through. So it's a lot easier. Back in the day, it was just like text messages or emails or, stuff like that. But it's just, I feel like nowadays it's easier for listeners to get in touch with you and tell you that they're listening. But even then, like, I don't know how long they're listening for. I don't know how many hours they're listening for. Do they listen to 5 minutes? Do they listen to 30 seconds? 5 seconds, switch off the radio and just do their own thing? I have no clue whatsoever. But it is very, very hard, and there is so much prep that goes on behind the scenes because so many people have said to me over the years, like, oh, all you do is a radio show, all you have to do is just sit behind the mic and talk. And I'm like, yeah, but there's a skill to that. It's not as easy as you may think it is. But I think over the years people have kind of realized that now, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I think, for example, I know there are lots of people who like to have the radio playing in the background and they don't realize how big of a deal that is, because if it's not something you want to listen to, it can be extremely distracting and, you just don't want the channel on. And also, I think it's a very like one-off thing. People don't give radio as much time as, say, for example, Bollywood. So you watch a movie, okay, maybe you didn't like it the first time, you'll watch another one. But with radio, I don't think that's the scene. It's you listen to the first episode. If it's catchy, if you like it, great. If not, saying that usually with radio, it's you have that one shot. You either make it good and people love it, or they just never come back. So it's actually much more difficult, at least in my opinion.
For sure, definitely.
So this is a question that I've actually been wanting to ask you for a very long time. So you played a character in the movie Fan. And the most interesting about it was you were kind of embodying your real life role in real life. So what was that experience like?
So basically, can I just say that happened by fluke? Like, it really happened. I have no idea how, but I'll tell you the backstory behind it. So I had actually gone on set a couple of days before. I think it was a couple of days before, just to be as an extra, as a wedding guest in one of the scenes. So this was being filmed at Blenheim Palace in Oxford. I don't know if you've visited that place, but it's like a really, really beautiful attraction here. And so I'd gone, like, had just I the thing is, I wanted to get some experience of what it was like being an extra on a film set. That's all I wanted. So I went, and we were filming all day. Shah Rukh was around, he was doing his thing, and we were extras, like just wedding guests standing around as you do, dressed up in a lenga with, like, I had, because it was so cold that time, I remember I had my Ugg boots underneath the lenga. And so we just did that. Like, it was all day, we were just kind of there doing our thing. And then towards the end of the day, at pack up, one of the team, we were just like standing around, and one of the team were like, oh, we need, they're looking for like somebody for another day, for another shoot for this film. And I just happened to be there, and the casting director, the lady who was casting, she just pointed to me. She was like, do you know how to speak Hindi? I said, yeah. And I had this piece of paper, and they were like, just read this one line. So I read the one line, and they were like, okay, fine, just come on Friday. I was like, okay, fine, I'll come. Like, end of story, right? And then, marching towards Friday, I really didn't think a big deal of this. So I just had my hair and makeup done in the morning, and I left for shoot. I had gone to central London, which is where it was being shot, and got there on the Friday, and we started filming, and I had absolute no idea that my one dialogue was I was going to be saying it to Shah Rukh Khan. And I was just like, what is this? Like, this is weird. And funny thing was, all day we just shot for that scene. That was it, all day, just that one scene. But like, it was so cute, because at the end of the day, Shah Rukh, he'd come up to me, he said, I'm really sorry, I really don't mean to shout at you. I was like, it's absolutely fine. I was like, it's really fine. But he is amazing. He's one of like my most favorite actors. Forget interviewing, just to meet and speak to. His charm, his wit, his aura is unreal. And then the thing was, when I filmed that scene, I still didn't think anything of it. So when it released, I remember my mum was having a knee replacement operation. And I was like, Mum, like this film is releasing and there's a preview, there's a screening for it, you know, a couple of days before.
Yeah.
And she was like, just go, it doesn't matter, just go and see it. And I was like, are you sure? She was like, yes, just go. So she had had the operation. So she was just like in her recovery stages. And so I ended up going. And then all of a sudden, I just see myself on the screen and I was like, oh my God, that's me. Because normally with these things, you don't know if they're going to edit you out or they're going to keep it in. Like, I was like, I had no idea. But yeah, that was such a random thing that happened, but it was probably one of the really nice things. And it was a really, really lovely experience. It was.
I know for sure for me it was, because I was like, oh, that's amazing. And I watched that scene again just to see it. And I remember reading in another interview as well, you said that it's funny that my one, you know, like cameo in the movie was where Shah Rukh Khan was yelling at me. So that's something.
But I loved it. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, any interaction is good interaction.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's good. So now that was probably one of the highs. So I actually wanted to ask what you think one of the most difficult moments in your career was and how you overcame it.
I think there's been a lot of difficult moments. I think initially when I was starting out in radio, I'd started at a radio station, and normally when you kind of go to the bigger ones, they give you like the graveyard shift. So you're kind of doing like the really, really late night shift. So I had been given the 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. slot in the morning. So it's like pre breakfast show. But I really wanted to get into radio. So I just kind of ended up doing it. And this radio station was like an hour away from home. So I was in like West London, and this radio station, it was in East London. So I'm like, do I really want to do this? Get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, get there for like, you know, whatever time, you know, 5:30, and then start the show or whatever. But I ended up doing it because I had so much support from my family. It's really cute because like I used to start the show and then my sister used to like listen in for like, you know, 5 minutes and then like half asleep. But it was really difficult because just that whole getting up in the morning, going, and then not just getting up but actually doing show prep when you get to the studio at that time. So it was difficult because I had that whole kind of routine where I would wake up at an ungodly hour. Then I would stay back after my show at 6 o'clock to do like team meetings and, you know, like production work. And then that's when I was also starting to host like really small events as well. So I'd then like finish the office and then I'd come home, sleep for a bit, and then I'd have an event to host at like 3, 4 in the afternoon. So I was like feeling all over the place at this point. Like, and I did this for about 3 months. And then I got called to Sunrise. So Sunrise, it was nicer because it was closer to home. I had given the afternoon slot, but I was still doing full time there. So when you're doing full time, you're doing a show, you're doing production, you're making adverts, you're making scripts, you're constantly speaking to clients, and then also you're doing like all the other stuff around it as well, like, you know, like whatever, like, you know, hosting events and literally everything under the sun. So I think at some point I probably did take on a lot of work, but I'm grateful for that now because I'm so used to doing so much work. And if I'm not doing anything, it's very, very weird. But I think other challenges that I've had is that there's a lot of competition in this field, like so much competition. So you're constantly like, I want to do this, or she's doing this, or he's doing this, and I want to do this. And we're all like kind of fighting for the same thing. But again, in a way, I think that's very healthy because personally for me, it makes me want to do more. And it's been like that from day one. Like, you know, when you see competition, that constantly makes you strive. You want to do better. You want to keep improving. So I think in a way, all the challenges are that it makes you improve. It doesn't make you stop, and it doesn't make you feel comfortable, which I think I appreciate. I mean, it makes you work 10 times more harder. As you know, when sometimes, oh, I just want to like relax and just take a break. And, oh yeah, I know I'm going to get this show. I know they'll come to me. It's not like that. I really wish it was, but you know, you're constantly haggling for interviews and, you know, like someone's turning up late. Like, I remember I was interviewing Shah Rukh Khan for Dilwale, and bless him, he turned up 3 hours late. But what can I do? I can't do anything. I can't say anything because I need this interview. I'm a journalist at the end of the day. I've
Mhm.
come here and I want this interview. So it kind of works both ways. Even with the celebrities, they're promoting a film. You know
Mhm.
how heavy Shah Rukh Khan goes on
Yeah.
marketing with his film. So equally, he wants it as well. So there's a lot of give and take in this industry, a lot of it. And you really, really have to be patient. I think being patient is key.
Mhm.
But you know, as you grow older, as you get through the years, you understand why it is the way it is, and you just keep going. You have to keep going, and I think every day there's always a new challenge
Mhm.
that surprises you, and you're like, hey, let's get over this challenge now.
Your turn
um,
today.
yeah. But yeah.
And I think, just to your point, I think everyone has this perception of Bollywood or, the spotlight where it's very difficult to keep your true self
Mm,
preserved, even through all the things so like you said, it's a struggle you have to fight for. And there's so much competition in the field. And I think somewhere it's so easy to just let go of your true self and become snooty or become, like you said, I
yeah.
got this. This is mine, overconfident. And just speaking to you and the way I've seen you interact with everybody, there's not an inch or ounce of that in you at all. And I think that's so commendable because you're obviously in an industry where you've spoken to some of the people that there are people in the world who trust me, they would kill for, or they would pay a lot of money for to just even have like a second of. And, to have all those experiences and still come out of it being your true self, I think that's what just makes you so much more lovable. And I think in terms of competition, there is no competition because I know if I had to choose a radio host, any
Oh.
day would be you, just because I know that
Oh.
even beyond you on radio, there's a person and there's a human being who has, empathy, who is caring, who can obviously entertain, which is a big deal, but more than that has that, more humanistic element to them. So I think
Yeah,
that's
I think that's really important, and I have learned that throughout my years. I mean, I've met so many Bollywood actors where I'm going to be really honest here, where I haven't liked them. I have not liked them, but I've just come away thinking, wow, she was rude, or wow, he was rude. And the thing is, like, I don't like to be treated like that, so I wouldn't treat anyone else like that either. You know, we're all human at the end of the day, and we all, you know, these actors want interviews, these actors want their films promoted, and I think they also now understand it as well, that it does work two ways. You can't just be arrogant, or you can't be you know, you can't throw around your attitude like that, because now with social media playing such a big part, I can
yeah.
easily go on Twitter and say, oh my god, this person was so rude, you know, didn't give me that time of the day or whatever.
Mhm.
And I have seen that happen. Like, I'm gonna tell you a story here. I remember Varun Dhawan was in town. He was in London. He was shooting for Street Dancer 3D.
Yeah.
And normally, when these actors are in town, I'm like, okay, fine, let's see if I can either get on set or get like an exclusive interview for Sunrise or whatever. So I'll try anything, something or the other, that
Mhm.
can create good content. And I messaged his manager. I got his manager's details, and I messaged her, and I was just like, you know, hey, this is Anushka from Sunrise. Wanted to check if Varun Dhawan is, you know, available for interviews. And she was like, you know, not as of yet, but I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted. And being a journalist, you have to be very, very persistent.
Mhm.
So, and they were here for a big schedule for Street Dancer 3D. They were here for a huge schedule.
Yeah.
And I'd message her every day. I'm like, I don't care. I want this interview. I'm going to keep messaging her. But not to the point where it's annoying, but to the point where I want this and
Yeah.
I am going to try my very best to get this.
Yeah.
And I know their shooting schedules are haywire. They're all over the place, and they're back to back, day, night shoot, day shoots, whatever it is. But I'm sure like 5 minutes you can spare, like 7 minutes maximum. Just give me that and I'll be fine. So I messaged her, kept messaging her. She just kept putting me off. And then eventually she blocked me on WhatsApp. Yeah, so my messages stopped going through to her, and I was like, okay, this is weird. And then I think about when it was towards the end of their schedule, I had seen that they had given another journalist an exclusive interview from another radio station. So,
Mhm.
you know, small things like that really kind of make you feel that, okay, you know what, fine, at least I tried. But you don't need to be rude, you don't need to block me, and you don't need to kind of, you know, give me that. But
Yeah.
that also made me realize that a lot of these managers of these celebrities can be like this, unfortunately. Like the actor, if I was said to Varun Dhawan directly, if I said to him, Varun, please give me an interview, I know hands down he wouldn't say no to me.
Yeah.
Because he is like that. He's a really, really nice person. But when you have managers get in the way, it does get a little bit tricky, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, that incident I wanted to put out there because it's not nice when people do that to you. And a celebrity manager's job is to figure out a schedule, to give interviews and work with the PR and be like, you know what, here you go.
Exactly. And I think sometimes it's difficult for them to understand as well, right? Because for them, it's the nature of their work. But when people have conversations and take interviews, it goes beyond just being about, okay, great, I mentioned my movie name. Okay, cool, I'm done for the day. There's obviously, a story, a build up. There are questions people want to know about them. And I'm sure that they would want to share as well. And I think it's difficult for them to comprehend beyond that part, that okay, 5 minutes, okay, mention name, cool. Did you drop this person's name? Cool. Did you stay away from controversy? Cool. So I think it's a little bit
Exactly.
more of a checklist.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So back to, you mentioned that you have a degree in journalism. So do you think that your degree or your passion for journalism initially played a major role in what you do today? Or it's helped you
Oh,
in any way?
definitely, 100%. I mean, the thing is with journalism, you end up studying such a wide range of like newspaper writing, crime reporting, TV, editing, radio. So I really took a liking towards the broadcast side of things. Although that module was small, like it wasn't that much. So I was like, "Huh, I want to do more. I want to do more." So I think, yeah, please, like, give me more work. But I'm kind of glad that it the degree covered the whole side of journalism, so I can understand how it is. Like even the editing, I know editing like videos and small like reels, TikToks, it takes forever. So I understand that, when someone says to me, oh, it's going to take time to edit, I get it. I completely get it. And had I not studied that or figured that out, then it would have been a little bit difficult for me to kind of comprehend what the other person's saying. But I'm really, really glad that I went on to enjoy my degree and then went on furthermore, started doing radio and TV. So just definitely played a huge part for sure.
And it helps you be a jack of all trades as well, right? Which is
Yeah,
never a bad thing. So that's good.
exactly.
And then just in line with that, so you began your career at the age of 21, which I thought was insane. So I'm actually 21 right now. And just to know that kind of perspective was very cool. So for someone like us at this age, and a lot of our listeners are also in this age bracket, what tips would you give to your 21-year-old self? If you could speak to Anushka years ago at the age of 21, what would you say?
Don't give up, keep going. Just the thing is, if you have a really big passion for something, it can be absolutely anything. And I think I really have to thank my family for that. Like they never ever stopped me from, like spreading my wings and doing radio or doing anything like, dancing or whatever it may be, but they just never stopped me. So I think um that's what gave me space. Like you need that space and you need to understand what you want to do. And I think I was quite lucky that I figured it out at that age that, you know what, I love this and I'm going to do it. I didn't say to myself, oh, I'm going to make a career out of it, but it happened. And it just so happened that, it turned out to be radio and TV. Yes, I would love to do more TV because I miss it so much. But I think just the main thing is to honestly like keep going and do what you love. Do what you love, because then you'll never ever have to work a day in your life. Like if somebody said to me, Anushka, can you like work 7 days a week, I would happily with my eyes closed say yes, I will do it. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do, as long as it's giving me happiness and as long as I'm enjoying it. That's it.
And it definitely reflects in your work, because I think if, especially in a field like radio, if you are happy with what you're doing, it translates in the tonality of your voice or what you are saying. Or, I can imagine you said you had 4 a.m. shoots. If I'm not a 4 a.m. person, I need something I really, really love for me to show up there and still have passion in my voice. So
for sure. I mean, it can be anything, whether it's cooking, whether it's singing, whether it's, I don't know, like working in finance, if you love numbers, do it, just do. But honestly, I would really say do something that you love with all your heart, honestly, because otherwise, you're never going to think twice about working ever.
Yeah, for sure. So I could stay here all day and ask you so many questions, but now we're going to move on to another fun segment. So this is going to be more of like a wacky segment. So we
Okay.
call this Spill the Tea segment because
Uh-huh.
our podcast is called Reality. And it's
Mhm.
kind of like rapid fire round. So it's not as controversial or problem provoking like Coffee with Karan, but
Yeah.
it's a fun segment where we'll ask you funky questions and you should try and answer as soon as you can. Are you
Okay.
ready?
Ready.
Okay, let's go. The first one is, if not in London, where in the world would you like to stay?
Dubai.
Dubai. Okay, good choice. And the second question is, if you had to describe yourself in either one dance move or one dance style, which would you pick?
Balam Pichkari.
Yes. And this is definitely going on socials. Yeah. And I'm sure you must be missing a lot of that because there probably
Oh,
haven't been a lot of opportunities to.
so much. I really can't wait to get on the dance floor. I
Yeah.
really cannot. But at the moment, it's got to be that Badshah's Bani Bani one. I think they're doing like some dance move
Mhm.
like that. But yeah, I
Very
can't.
new, very fresh, hot the press. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, so the next one is, of all the fun concerts that you've hosted, which one has been your favorite and why?
Arijit Singh in, I think it was 2015.
Mhm.
I think that was my first Arijit concert, and he just blew it out of the park. He was the most electrifying person on this planet. And it's a very hard question, this is, by the way, but that concert at Wembley Arena, hands down.
And I think, yeah, it's not difficult for any of us to understand why, because just hearing him recorded sounds so good. I can only
So
imagine how
good.
amazing this has been live. Okay. And this is probably a tough question and my favorite question of the segment, and the last one too, sadly. If you had to go on Big Boss, which by the way, I genuinely have a question. Why has that not happened yet?
I'm too
What
scared.
what season would you go on?
Which season? I would go on season this Suyash and Kishwar and Prince one. That was in
7,
2016. Yeah, was that season?
8, I think.
I think so, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd definitely go on that one because I think they were just a nice bunch of people. The Barney one, that was like really hard. I mean, I just don't know how she did that, but every Big Boss is difficult. But if I had to choose, I think then that one.
Yeah, that was probably the more fun one, not too much
Yes.
drama going on.
Yeah.
People were kind
Yeah.
of gelling, but there was obviously
Exactly.
a Big Boss, but people
Yeah.
were civil for the lack
Yeah.
of a better
So
word.
to put it.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. And with that, unfortunately, we have come to an end of the podcast. But thank you so much again for being here. I'm sure everybody listening has a huge burst of inspiration now to, like you said, just do it, whether it's finance, whether it's singing, dancing, whatever it is, and really take inspiration from who better than you yourself, because you've really done that, from if it's whether it's radio, whether it's TV, dance, whatever it is, you've made it happen for yourself. And that's super, super commendable and inspiring. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Just before I go, I just want to say thank you firstly to both of you for inviting me here. It feels really nice to finally like speak to you in person. Anupam, thank you very much. And Anushka, I absolutely love your energy. You are one of the most beautiful people that I have met via Instagram. And if I ever come to Hong Kong, I really, really want to meet you. And if vice versa, if you guys ever come to London, please let me know. I would love to get you guys in the studio so I could show you all around and see and show you how it all works and happens and just hang out. And I'm just so thankful for you guys. Thank you so much. This has been really, really nice. And all the best for your podcast. It sounds amazing. And I can't wait to hear it again.
Thank you so much. Seriously, thank you so much. We had to pick someone very special and we wanted it to be someone like you said, I hadn't really spoken to, because that's the point of this podcast. And I know for a fact we did a little bit of a guessing game and so many people guessed that it was you. And I know that they're so excited to just hear, a natural conversation where we get to know you much better. So thank you so much again for being here.
This is so cute. Thank you guys. Take care. Stay safe. Lots of love.
You too.
Bye.